I want to get your take on what he said about that, because I asked him about the economic plan and about growth. How much economic growth might we see as a result of that 15% business tax? Listen to this, Governor.
It's going to really push the economy forward. I think it's going to push it forward big league. And by the way, trillions of dollars that is right now at least $2.5 trillion, could be $5 trillion, is outside of the country. They can't get their money in. That money's going to come in. There'll be a 10% tax to pay on it, and that money will come roaring in too.
You have to believe, you know, this is an area of the economy that hasn't had much movement. That's business spending. You have to believe that this might move the needle on that.
Yeah, the only movement we've seen in the business economy is the money moving out of the U.S. and going to a safer haven where they're not punished for being profitable. And that's the simple reality of what Donald Trump has proposed, that I think for people who just look at it objectively, who aren't looking at it because I just don't like Donald Trump, and there are those out there, like the 14 people that stood up and screamed at him, which I thought was a compliment to his message. If you don't have some protesters, you must not be saying anything of consequence. But the fact is, people with common sense can understand that if you cut the tax rates, not only for corporations, but he's also talking about a significant tax reduction for working people in different brackets that bring those tax rates down, that means more money in their pocket. It means an employer is more likely to be able to hire them because they have money to hire them.
Right.
Look, businesses would like to hire people, but they can't afford to. Put people in jobs, there's a double benefit. Number one, they start earning money. Number two, they start moving away from government subsidies and government backups. And so you have a double benefit to the economy when people are working rather than getting a check from the government every month.
Here's Lee Carter.
So in addition to his tax plan, he laid out both spending on infrastructure and his platform on trade. And basically, we know that conservatives, or what people say are true conservatives, are opposed to this. So how do you think he's going to reach them?
Well, I don't know that he ever will, because there are some people who are so philosophical, they've never gotten out of their ivory towers and gone down to see concrete pour. They have no clue what builds an economy. You want to put people to work? Build roads and bridges. Guess what? There's some things you cannot outsource. You cannot outsource the construction, you know, in the towns across America. You just can't do that. You can't say to the Chinese, build us a bridge and ship it over. Build us an airport and fly it in. So the point is, infrastructure is very important, not only to creating an economic skeleton so that we can build an economy, but look, with interest rates near zero, this is a great time to do it. The problem is that Obama so miserably failed because he said he was going to do infrastructure. What he did was pass out a bunch of funny money to people who wasted it. They didn't build anything.
Well, we heard so much about those shovel-ready jobs that then did not
Yeah, there were shovels, all right.
Yeah.
But what they were shoveling was something we can't say on air. That's what they were shoveling on.
John Helsenrath from the Journal. John.
Governor, you're pushing a simpler tax code. Part of Trump's plan is expanding deductions for child care. How do you feel about that? Do you think that that fits together with having a simpler tax code with just 3 brackets?
Well, overall it does. Look, most families today have 2 income earners if you have a husband and wife, and even if you have a single mom. The cost of child care is unbelievable. I have 5 grandkids, so I hear this from, you know, my children dealing with their children as they try to raise them and make ends meet. And the cost of child care has just gone exponentially up from what it was when my wife and I raised our 3 children. As a result of that, it's very difficult for younger families to be able to take the next step on the economic ladder. This, I believe, it's not going to solve all the problems, but it will certainly help them. And why shouldn't we make some kind of recognition that strong, stable families are a good thing, not just for our economy? That's a good thing for our civilization and our culture.
But doesn't it undermine the principle of simplifying the tax code? How do you, as a conservative, how do you feel about moving in the opposite direction on simplifying the tax code?
Well, as a conservative, I would really simplify the tax code. As you know, I was a strong proponent, still am, of the fair tax, which is the simplest of all. But we're not going to get that right now. And so if we have an element of this tax code which rates are dramatically lowered, and we do simplify it, but we also recognize the value of families and working families and the cost of child care, I don't have a big problem with that, because one thing I learned in government, having dealt with a 90% Democrat legislature, you're never going to get everything you want. And people who think that are going to get nothing, and they will get it every day of their political lives.
Yeah.
So you go for what you can, and you make it happen. And this is, I think, very doable. This is going to be attractive to Republican families and to Democratic families as well.
Well, you would think. Governor, good to see you. Thanks so much.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
Governor Mike Huckabee joining us. Still